pardon more people on his way out. Let's get this done. As I've said over and over again, this is disgusting. It's a travesty. We need to free this innocent man. free-don.org. I'll just do whatever they tell me to do there. And with that, we are done for today. I hope you'll be with us tomorrow. I'll be back live starting at 2 p.m. Eastern, on from 2 to 4 at 4 o'clock. It's the relaunch of the new Randi Rhodes show. So let's make history together and keep talking about the things that really matter. Have a happy 4th of July, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.
This is BP in 3, where we turn 3 hours into 3 minutes.
Tuesday, July 12th. Here we are. Great to see you today. We have a big political event today in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, at the Portsmouth High School, where Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders holding a big rally together. This is very much like the 2008 rally when Hillary Clinton appeared with Barack Obama in Unity, New Hampshire. And the timing of this, I think, comes at a perfect time. I mean, Bernie has said that he was, of course, going to vote for Hillary, but since the primary, he didn't sit still after the primary. He didn't walk away. He's been really fighting to be sure that the progressive ideas that he talked about become part of the Democratic Party lore, part of the Democratic Party's agenda. All of those nervous Nellies, all during the primary, who said, Oh, Bernie's just a divisive character. Oh, Bernie's another Ralph Nader. I'll just point out, they were dead-ass wrong. And I knew they were wrong because I know Bernie Sanders. I know the message. I know what he's all about. They were dead wrong. This primary and Bernie Sanders' challenge to Hillary Clinton was the best thing that ever happened to her and the best thing that ever happened to the Democratic Party. Van Newkirk, the second staff writer for the Atlantic magazine, here in studio with us. You can follow his work, of course, at the Atlantic.com. Can the Black Lives Matter movement survive Dallas?
I think it can. And I think what you've seen in the news is people are not letting the agenda of one person who did not consult with the community, who did not consult with the protest, who was not in conversation, who has been described as being mentally ill in some cases. They did not let this person and what he wanted to do, which was cause some chain reaction of violence, they didn't let him take the agenda, the momentum away from them. I think President Obama's speech on Saturday was pretty indicative of that. I think also randomly people like Newt Gingrich have come out and said, police violence is still a thing. And have said, what really needs to happen is to have people understand what it's like to be a black person. Yesterday, the president, he cut short his visit to Spain. The vice president had scheduled a meeting called a meeting of law enforcement officers, and the president decided, I'm going to go to that meeting too. I want to hear what they have to say. Part of it, on the police side of it, must really focus on training in the use of firearms. It has to. If you've seen the video, the Alton Sterling video, there's absolutely no reason for an officer during a stop to pull a gun out and point at a person's head. That to me is, regardless of how any, criminal justice system, prosecution, whatever shakes out, that's something that just should not ever happen as part of a routine police stop. What do you think when you see a police officer? I am afraid, and I've been on the bad end of some things that were blatantly illegal. There's really nothing you can do about it. And for me, I drive slow because I don't want to be pulled over. The Bill Press Show, weekday mornings on the Progressive Voices Network.
Mary had a little man. The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
I believe in Bernie Sanders and the political revolution.
I believe in Hillary Clinton and math.
I believe in a $15 an hour minimum wage.
I believe in a $15 minimum wage, except that $12 might work better in some states.
$12 an hour is a fucking joke! People have families that need to be fed!
Come on, comrade!
We are a house divided. There are moments, little moments, when I know I've really taught her a valuable lesson.
See, I believe Citizens United should be overturned.
Yeah, I believe Citizens United should be overturned, but I say it all the time.
Yeah, but see, I'm a pragmatist.
You're a warmonger!
Sick of that!
Warmonger!
You want to talk about foreign policy? Secretary of State now! We're behaving in ways we don't even recognize.
After that bird landed on the podium, I did deploy campaign assets to attract messaging optimizers.
Well, the only thing my sign attracts is a diverse coalition of traditionally progressive Democratic voters.
Hey, this is a dope sign.
Oh, well, thank you.
It may be driving a wedge between us.
It's tearing us apart. There is no leader strong enough to bridge this divide.
Yeah, how do you get Mexico to pay? Because they are ripping us left and right.
Against Trump.
Against Trump? I'd vote for a wet bag of dog shit.
Oh, honey.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'll never let that asshole win.
Me neither.
So Bernie should drop out?
No, everybody votes. It's called democracy!
It's called delayed democracy! Dear Democrats, remember, soon we will all come together.
Eventually. Political revolution!
Viva la revolution! Viva! Viva! Oh. See,
now, people are divided now. We're divided amongst ourselves. Hillary even gave a speech today, which was pretty damn good. She should let me read it for her, though, because I'm better at delivering the message. But the message that she was trying to deliver, it was a great message, I will say. She has moved to the left, back and to the left, back and to... And the Bernie supporters are having none of it. I mean, the Bernie or Buzz people are having absolutely none of it. And I don't have this situation in my home. I do not have a house divided. Because Howard has a ball sack that's larger than anything you've ever seen hanging on the back of an F-150, even in Texas, okay? And he knows he's a man. And so if I say, I'm voting for Bernie, come hell or what, he goes, yes, dear, me too. You know what I mean? But then he does go to bed singing, you've lost that love and feeling, because he's passive aggressive, you understand, right? So this is what goes on in my house. We don't have the divided. We're not divided. We're unified, because he knows on which side of the bed the sex lies. And it's, obviously on mine. So I mean, I'm reading, I'm looking, I'm seeing the Facebook and the tweets, the Twitter war, the thing, that. Oh, and it's just, even Bernie's website. You need a moderator, dude. Need a moderator. Whatever leftover campaign money there is from those $27. You need a moderator. Because he took the stage with Hillary Clinton, as we know yesterday, because Bill Press just told us that today. In yesterday's top of the hour news. And frankly, Bernie endorsed her. Oprah has spoken too. I actually got a message from someone that Oprah was on one of the shows, and she said, I'm with her. So there you have it. It's done. It's done, people. Done. Primaries are over. So, but the Bernie or Bust people are having absolutely none of it. I mean, they wrote, this is amazing. This is Bernie's Facebook page. Swear to God. This is Bernie's Facebook page. They wrote, you are dead to me now. That is so disgusting. Okay, that's like, this guy has been the same guy for all of his 73 years, and now all of a sudden you're burying him prematurely, just like a man. You bury it prematurely. What is with you people? You're dead to me now. I can't believe all the money, time, effort I gave to you. Now I will be throwing all my support behind Jill Stein, because she will never betray me and her values will never waver. Okay, let's just move on. You're as much of a sellout as any of the corporate Dems before you? Not even close. It's not even a close call. The other one that I really liked was, you fucked us. And somebody wrote, who did they threaten in his family to make him fold like this? Somebody else said, you make me sick, dude. Someone else can have my donation back. This is bullshit. This is why you need a moderator. Don't you get it? GYF, Sanders. I'm so freaking old. It took me a while to figure out what GYF. I get it. I get what it is. GYF, Sanders. I'm unfollowing you, unfriending you, and I'd like my $500 in campaign contributions back, you sellout. That is not nice. This guy fought his heart out and obviously moved Hillary Clinton and the entire Democratic Party through our platform way back to the left. Everything from cap and trade to school tuition to the public option. It's all in there. It's all in there. And I can already see the shift in Hillary, because today she gave this speech called A House Divided. The Lincoln inauguration speech, A House Divided against itself shall not stand, going way, way back to 1858, where I think Bernie was born then. And for this long, he's been that guy. So go F yourself, whoever wrote that on his Facebook page. That's just disgraceful, I must say. But yes, I'm disappointed. However, one of our candidates is a fascist. The other one is not. Now, if you immediately thought of someone when I said fascist, don't vote for that person. Whoever popped into your mind, there, we've settled the score, all right? One is a fascist, one is not. Vote for the one that you think is not. Okay? But let me tell you something. All these horrendous Facebook postings, you are dead to me now. Really? This is so... we could lose this thing, people. Smarten up. Smarten up right freaking now. You know we could lose this. I'm looking at the polls today. Now, like I said, you're not going to know very much of anything until Labor Day, but then you'll know. I'll know, so you'll know, because I'll tell you, because that's what I do. But honest to God, man, I gotta tell you, we could lose this thing. In Pennsylvania, Trump's ahead. In Florida, I told you, I'm listening to crap here I never, ever thought I would hear or see, even here, where they stand their ground, and if you make them feel threatened, they'll kill you. Florida, she's behind Trump. And in Ohio, who has always chosen, they're tied. We could lose this. Do you understand that? This is not, a playtime anymore. You can't walk around with hurt feelings. You have to think of something bigger than your feelings and bigger than your $500 contribution. You have to start thinking about these United States of America and who is most likely to throw us a bone. Okay, because that's where we're at. Well, this isn't. It could be. It could happen. It could. I'm always a sunny optimist. You know this. However, if we got thrown a bone, like a huge investment in jobs, something like this, or a complete overhaul of the war on drugs and the criminal justice system and the disparity in sentencing and the investment in private prisons and the public institutions of higher learning start getting more funding so that parents don't have to, carry that burden. I mean, we could get thrown some bones. This could be okay. I don't know if it'll be massive FDR type change, with the 4 freedoms and, a chicken in every pot. And then we go to war against Nazis. I don't know if it'll be that kind of a thing. But, it could be. It could be a very big change election, or it could be they throw us a bone. Donald Trump is throwing you nothing. Donald Trump is throwing brown and black people out of our country. Donald Trump is going to surveil brown and black people. Donald Trump wants to go house to house and rip children out of school and have them deported. Donald Trump wants to surveil Muslim communities. Donald Trump posts anti-Semitic crap that came from neo-Nazi websites, for God's sake. He hates women because he's got very small hands, as we've all learned. Tiny, teeny. He believes women should be punished for choosing for themselves their own personal health care. They should be punished if they choose in a way that he doesn't approve of, even though the law, the Constitution says women don't get punished in this country for choosing to have a baby in their 30s or have a baby when they're 12. So let's keep this in mind, shall we please? Because frankly, we could lose this thing. Now, I got a crap load of audio, all right? Just a ton. I went and got you the speech from Hillary because I figure you're working and stuff like that there. And so if you're listening on a podcast, hi, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Where were you? Where? Because you had some money? You got to not call me because you had some money? You're like every man. You got to make your own money. No, honestly. So whatever is going on in your world, I really doubt a lot of people could hear the speech today. So I picked out a couple of the cuts. Now, one of the great things about the speech was Hillary has now admitted that she's been part of the division and the divisiveness in this political campaign as well. Now, Bernie supporters, smarten up, okay? She says she's done, a lot of dividing, and she has. That's why people are, and now you're mad and you're lashing out at the guy who loves you. He digs you, man. He loves you. He loves you. Trump hates you like poison. He hates you. But here's what she said. Okay, here I'm going to just play a couple minutes here, and then I'm going to get to the news-making stuff, which she did make news today. She honestly made news today. I promise you she did. However, Trump is having an issue with who to pick for vice president, so that's what the media is covering today.
I believe in Bernie Sanders.
Oh, no, I love that thing. I got it.
Alton Sterling and...
No, that's the race thing. Yeah.
Now, I realize that our politics have contributed to the sense of division that many Americans feel right now.
Yes.
And as someone in the middle of a hotly fought political campaign, I cannot stand here and claim that my words and actions haven't sometimes fueled the partisanship that often stands in the way of progress. So I recognize I have to do better too.
Yay!
I'm running for president with the belief that we need to face up to these challenges and fix them in order to become a stronger, fairer country. And in times like these, we need a president who can help pull us together, not split us apart.
Now that was a good first step in healing and bringing the unity. I gotta say, I'm applauding too. I thought that was a very self-deprecating comment, which means you're in touch with yourself and how you can possibly be contributing to the angst in this country and to the splitting apart and to the house divided situation that we find ourselves in. I was very pleased with that pronouncement by the Hillary, by the secretary, the madam. I don't know. She's had so many titles. The senator, the first lady, the corporate lawyer from the Rose Law Firm. The Whitewater lady. Okay, I get it, but we could lose this thing. And like I said, one of the candidates running is a fascist and the other one is not. And we will go over which one is which if you're not clear in the next segment. But I do want you to know that Hillary Clinton did make news today. It was important what she said. We should hold her to this pledge that she made today, as she appeared in the exact same State House where Obama appeared when he announced he was running for president. You know, they're joined at the Naval now. You know, we're going to have to get Ben Carson, pediatric neurosurgeon, to, separate these conjoined twins. But that's how close they are. So she even went to that place that he went to make this speech, where he went to make his speech. You know, you get it? It's one of those things. But we cannot lose this thing. Like I say, I am not crazy about either, but one is a fascist. One is not.
Hi, I'm Gianna Garrell from Progressive Voices. Today, the angry roar of the conservative media machine dominates TV and radio, threatening to drown out and push out anyone who dares to discuss our progressive perspectives and ideals. But we can't let that happen. We have too many strong, smart, and important progressive voices who need to be heard. That's why here at PV, we're building a 21st century progressive media universe. One where all the best in progressive media can come together, rise above the static and the noise, and be heard by anyone, anywhere. And we need your help. We're in the middle of a critical campaign to make our dream of 21st century progressive media universe a reality. But we can't do it without grassroots support from people like you. Head over to progressivevoices.com to see how you can help. Please support this important progressive mission. Because with your help, we can make sure all our progressive voices are heard.
No doubt you'll be thrilled to learn that we now live and work in a gig economy. That's the latest corporate buzz phrase from Silicon Valley. CEOs are hailing a brave new workplace in which we lucky worker bees no longer have to be stuck in traditional jobs with traditional hours, traditional middle-class pay scales, traditional benefits, traditional job security, and all those other fusty traditionals of the old workplace. In fact, in the gig economy, you don't even get a workplace. Rather, you'll be liberated to work in a series of short-term jobs in many places, always being on call through a mobile app on your iPhone or through a temp agency. How exciting is that? Well, they use exciting in the sense of distressing and nerve-wracking. The gig economy means you're on your own. You're not an employee, but, quote, an independent contractor with no rights and no union. You might have lots of calls to work this week, but there'll be many weeks with no calls. Don't get sick or injured, for no health care or workers' comp are provided. A pension? Your retirement plan is called Adios Chump. This alternative work arrangement is not a futuristic concept. It's already here and spreading fast. Some 16% of U.S. workers are now in this on-call, temporary, part-time, low-pay, you're-on-your-own economy, up from only 10% a decade ago. Corporate chieftains, backed by the economists and politicians they purchase, are creating what they call a workforce of non-employees for one reason: greed. It directly transfers more money and power from workaday families into the coffers of moneyed elites. This is Jim Hightower saying their gig economy is aptly named, for gigs are crude four-hook fishing devices that are drugged by commercial fleets through schools of fish to impale them, haul them in, and cash in on the pain.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandyRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
Not long ago, I met with factory workers here in Illinois whose jobs are being sent abroad and heard how painful the consequences have been for them and their families. I've talked to workers across our country who've seen good jobs lost to technologies, who keep being told to get more training, even though that often doesn't lead to a good new job on the other end. These economic disruptions have stripped too many people of their sense of security and dignity, and that can have devastating consequences. We have to ask ourselves, why are drug addiction and suicide on the rise in parts of our country? That's not just about economics. It's about something deeper that is connected to economics. A sense of dislocation, even a pessimism about whether America still holds anything for them or cares about them at all. That's why I've pledged that in my first 100 days as president, we will make the biggest investment in new, good-paying jobs since World War II. We need more jobs you can support a family on, especially in places that have been left out and left behind. From coal country to Indian country to inner cities to every place that's been hollowed out when a factory closed or a mine shut down. Because everyone in America deserves that fair chance in the race of life that President Lincoln described.
All right, What, she need a Dale Carnegie course or something, or a public speaking? She should go to Trump University. Oh, Trump University. See, this is the thing, CNN did an interview. I have so much audio today, I couldn't cut this one up, but you should look for it. I don't know if they'll rerun it, but they really ought to. Hashtag CNN breaking news. They had one of the professors from Trump University. They interviewed him, and the professor turned out to be some, two-bit salesman is what he is. And he said he had lived in Beverly Hills and that he was, he had been a developer in Atlanta and, claimed all these accolades. And then when the reporter sat down with him, he couldn't find any indication that this man had ever lived in Beverly Hills, even though the man goes, yes, I live in Beverly Hills. And he goes, well, I got news for you. We here at CNN looked to find your address. We can't find you anywhere in Beverly Hills. He goes, I can't comment on that. And he said, and we also found out that you never developed anything anywhere, let alone Atlanta, Georgia. We can't find any development you're responsible for. He goes, well, I can't answer that. I can't comment on that. So, and that did you ever meet Donald Trump? And he said, I can't comment on that. He goes, well, don't you know if you ever met the man or not? Because the lawsuit, which is being heard today, what they're deciding today whether or not to release the deposition video of Donald Trump testifying in the civil suit against Trump University. Oh, please, manna from heaven, please. I'll cut every bit of that audio my own person with these loving little hands. I will cut that. I will air it on an endless loop. Please release. Please, judge, release. Of course, that judge probably comes from I don't know, Greek ancestry, and you can't judge Donald Trump because Donald Trump and the Greeks, they don't like each other's food. I really don't know. However, let me just tell you that is something that's being debated today in the courts. And, Donald Trump is a huckster. He's not real. You understand? Everything about him is fake. Everything about him. His wealth, his attitude towards Americans, that he really cares about us. It's all fake. Everything he wants to be a strong man. He does not have any policies, which is the key to a strong man. A strong man just presents this aura of, I got this, okay? With no plan to get it. No plan. And God forbid you ask him, the media is so corrupt. Yeah, like our little corner of the internet is, the media, and we're corrupt. No, you're phony. You're a fake. You're a fraud. You're a shrill, shrieking shrew of a fraud. And everything that you do is to divide and incite violence. This is not what America needs more of. And if you think that giving Donald Trump more power over the FBI, power over the military, power over the DIA, the CIA, the NSA, and all the other 16 the Department of Homeland Security, if you think that putting Donald Trump in charge of all these things is somehow going to make him more humble, or somehow going to make him more kind, or somehow going to make him smarter, you're out of your freaking mind. And no, he doesn't agree with Bernie on trade. Donald Trump wants corporate titans to negotiate our trade deals. That is already happening. So there's no... All right, I digress. So the news that Hillary made right there, I don't know if you caught it. Did you catch it? What was it? Really? You're in... I lovingly hand-clipped that for you. I picked that right off of the internets for you, and I made it a nice pink color. See, right there? That's the one. Oh, stop. You want to talk juggling? I'm a big girl. Just from the rib cage up. And from below, I'm very small. However, the news she made was, she said that in her first 100 days, she is going to make an investment in jobs larger than any investment we have seen since World War II. That's very FDR-like. Now, if you think she thought of that on her own, I think Bernie might have, been sitting lovingly by her side and said, economic inequality is my number one issue. And, you're going to have to promise me that not only are you going to do something about it, you're going to tell people you're going to do something about it. You're going to be on the record, and you're going to say you're going to do it in your first 100 days. And she did. She did at the speech. Now, why? I'm looking at Paul Ryan explain why he backs Trump on the CNN that breaks the news. I have no idea. And they're running a little chyron telling me that Don Lemon is going to have his town hall on race and policing in 5 hours, 31 minutes, and 18 seconds. Really? The woman made news right here. She is promising that if you make her the next president of the United States, that she will make the largest investment in job creation in her first 100 days as president, as we've seen since World War II. Now that is huge.
Money trumps peace sometimes.
Can you see the difference? Can you see the difference between money trumps? That's funny. He used the Trump word. Money trumps peace sometimes. Money is more important than peace sometimes. Versus in my first 100 days, I will make the most mega investment in job creation that we have seen as a country since World War II. That is news. It's good news. I pray to God it's true news. I hope we can get it done news. If we show up and vote, at least if you have to skip the presidential, I'm telling you, you're making a mistake at this point. But the down ticket's going to be everything. We've got plenty of Senate seats up for grabs here. The House is always up for re-election every 2 years. Now, we have a primary here in Florida, August 30th. I got to pick a Senate candidate and I got to pick a House candidate. And I'm going to pick that bald-headed hot guy. Oh, he's stunning. The bald-headed, with the white teeth. Have you seen him? Tim Canova? Gives me the vapors. I love him. So I'm voting for him in the primary over Debbie Wasserman Schultz and probably Alan Grayson, even though he's a bit batshit. I'll tell you why I think he's a bit bad. They call my house every single day. Every day they call my house looking for money. Every day they call. Every day. And every day I tell them, I already gave you money. Godspeed, good luck. Come do my show. Come talk to my people. This is free media for you. I'm not giving you another dime until you come. You want what you want. I want what I want. Everybody's negotiating. And they call my house every day. And the message now, I go, aren't you recording this call? Play it for the candidate. Play it for him and tell him to shut down his hedge fund. That's all I'm asking. Okay? You do those two things, you get my vote August 30th. So, I'm negotiating from my home because this is where I had the power until we brought this show back. It was in my own home. But she did make news today. And the other thing she did was explain to you why it is so dangerous to sit this out or vote for Donald Trump.
And that is why I believe Donald Trump is so dangerous. His campaign is as divisive as any we have seen in our lifetimes. It is built on stoking mistrust and pitting American against American. It's there in everything he says and everything he promises to do as president. It's there in how he wants to ban Muslims from coming to the United States and toyed with creating a database to track Muslims in America. It's there in the way he demeans women, in his promotion of an anti-Semitic image pushed by neo-Nazis.
Good for her.
And in the months that he spent trying to discredit the citizenship and legitimacy of our first black president. Last night, in an interview, he said that he understands systemic bias against black people because, and I quote, even against me, the system is rigged, unquote. Went on to say, I can relate to it very much myself.
So gross.
Even this, the killing of people, is somehow all about him. It's there in his proposals on immigration. He says he'll round up 11 million people and kick them out. He's actually described a special deportation force that would go around America,
really,
pulling people out of their homes and workplaces, pulling children out of school. I got a letter from a mother the other day who said her adopted son asked her with a shaky voice if President Trump would send him back to Ethiopia. When kids are scared by political candidates and policy debates, it's a sign that something has gone badly wrong.
True. And, these are just a little tick off, a little laundry list of things that you can say off the top of your head, knowing that you are correct about Donald Trump. All those things are true. Now, imagine Donald Trump, who wants to do surveillance on Muslim Americans, okay, having control of the NSA. Got that picture? Because now we're talking Stasi stuff. Now we're talking ratting out your neighbor. Now we're talking more than if you see something, say something. We're talking about let us in your apartment so we can wiretap the guy next door. And people doing it, okay, because they just want to be left alone. Imagine pulling kids out of their schools to deport them. All right, Donald Trump in charge of ICE? Really? Donald Trump is going to be in charge of immigration enforcement. You think there's violence in this country now? Holy crap, man. And yes, Donald Trump, the birther, is somehow going to be this unifier, this leader that we need in this time where finally America, as uncomfortable as it might be, is ready to talk about race and bias and institutional racism and inequities in the justice system, the school to prison pipeline, the fact that if you have ever served a minute for pot, okay, you get a marijuana, it's a felony conviction. There are people sitting in jail. They come out of jail. You can never vote again. You're disenfranchised your whole life. And finding a job is near impossible. Because why? Because your neighborhood was over-policed. My neighborhood has no police. Everyone in my neighborhood, everyone except from me, is smoking and selling the pot to each other. Everyone. Where do you think it comes from? Comes from each other. But in a black neighborhood, a kid with a half a joint in his pocket, he's going to go to jail under 3 strikes, you're out, because this is the 3rd joint that they found in his pocket. You know, can you imagine a birther, a guy who thinks that Barack Obama is an illegitimate president simply because he's an African American whose father was an immigrant from Kenya? Although he was raised by his white grandparents in Kansas, he doesn't pass muster. The guy, the Judge Coriello in Indiana he lives. Indiana's flamingly white. And this Coriello dude chooses to live there and judge there, and he's not fit because his parents came from Mexico. So who is fit to judge Donald Trump? Who is fit to judge him? You. That's who's fit. And you better do it before November. Just better make up your mind and just say, I'm not voting for a person. I'm voting for a platform. I'm voting for progress. I'm voting for a position. I'm voting against something, if you have to say that to yourself. Because frankly, poor Bernie, he's getting his ass whooped on his own Facebook page. And, you know, I know that feeling, and it just blows. You give, and you give, and you give, and you take, and you take, and you take. Bunch of takers you got here. Oh, I was with you till I was against you. How Bushian of you. How completely peanuck of you. How very disloyal of you. Trust me, the most progressive candidate that we've been able to get behind since 72 is having his influence upon the Hillary. And that's a good thing. 38 after.
Workers Independent News in depth. I'm Doug Cunningham. The Citizens Trade Campaign says the Democratic Party Platform Committee should have completely rejected the proposed TPP trade agreement. Nonetheless, the Citizen Trade Campaign's Arthur Stamoulis says the language on TPP that is in the Democratic platform is still anti-TPP. Stamoulis says thanks to AFSCME President Lee Saunders, the original Democratic platform language on the TPP was strengthened.
They actually strengthened the language on trade that the drafting committee had come up with. So the original platform said that Democrats were divided on trade. Lee Saunders, the president of AFSCME, put forward an amendment that, stripped that claim that Democrats were divided on this, that, set standards on trade, what should be in trade agreements, what shouldn't be in trade agreements. The authors of the language said the TPP doesn't meet it. Hillary Clinton has since said the TPP doesn't meet it. So it was, once again, a rejection of, requests by the White House and others that Democrats support the TPP.
Stamoulis says advocates of the TPP trade agreement will likely try to get it passed by a lame duck Congress in the 6 weeks or so after the November election.
The administration certainly wants to pass the TPP during what's called lame duck, which is the period in Congress right after the election when, a number of members of Congress have been voted out of office, have retired, but, still get to vote for 6 weeks or so and make public policy for the country. And, TPP proponents have made the calculation, look, there's no chance of the TPP passing before the election because it's just so unpopular. Maybe we can sneak it through right after the election.
But Stamoulis says that there's powerful opposition to the TPP trade deal that includes labor opposition and both presidential candidates, as well as a broad coalition of other groups and a big percentage of Democrats in the House. Hopefully, he says, powerful enough to prevent the lame duck passage of TPP.
we're obviously doing everything in our power to make sure the votes aren't there for that to happen. And I think if listeners continue pressing their members of Congress, particularly in the House of Representatives, I think we've got a very good shot of, not even seeing it brought to the floor because it is such a heavy lift for TV.
Brought to you by Union Active, your certified iOS and Android mobile app developer, offering high-quality, union-made mobile apps backed by a support team which upgrades your product to every new mobile operating system. Features, pricing, and examples are online at unionactive.com.
You've been listening to WIN, Workers Independent News. For more information, visit laborradio.org.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randy, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
All right, 41 after. How do you like it on the Facebook page? You see that there? That's me right there on the Facebook page. I'm on my own. I'm literally on my Facebook page. You say you're on your Facebook page, but I'm on my Facebook page. I can watch me on my Facebook page. It's pretty freaking scary. All this technology. There's so many ways to listen now. It's crazy. I mean, you got your YouTubes, you got your TuneIns, you got your Progressive Voices app, you got the Facebooking thing going on. I am trying to disseminate this to any way that you would like to have it. Any way. Because that's the kind of girl I am. How would you like it? Sure, I could do that. So, anyway, listen to me. You know how I feel about only having two choices. I think it's disgraceful. I think this country can do so much better than every 4 years voting for the lesser of two evils. Okay, and listen, it's not my feeling. It's not me that's creating these poll numbers. It is the absolute, honest to God truth that people do not like Hillary Clinton. They don't believe she's honest. They don't believe she's trustworthy. She's lost ground to Donald Trump on those two questions. Do you trust her, and do you believe she's honest? That's what the Quinnipiac poll that everybody is citing today is showing. Quinnipiac is a university. It's in Connecticut. They do polling. And the Quinnipiac poll clearly shows that Donald Trump is beating her in Florida, 42-39. It's unbelievable, but it's real. He's beating her in Pennsylvania, 43-41. And Ohio, they are tied 41-41. We could lose this thing. You understand what I'm saying? He is dangerous because he's a schmuck. Now, I'm sorry. I understand that it's not me. It's not an experience I had, which a lot of people like to assign to me. Some experience I had with Hillary Clinton that makes me not, like her. No, it is the fact that all these people in this country, tons and tons and tons of people, okay, do not find her honest and trustworthy. Her unfavorable ratings are through the roof. Here they are, okay? Clinton's unfavorable ratings, 59% in Florida. 59% in the flatness of the flatland. 60% unfavorables in Ohio, the Buckeye state, and 65% do not favor her, trust her, or think she's honest in Pennsylvania. Now, yes, this is a race between two unlikable candidates. There's no question. Trump's are pretty damn close. She's still ahead in unfavorables, but his are pretty high. 54% don't like him in Florida. 59% don't like him in Ohio, and 57% don't like him in Pennsylvania. We have two people, but we have to choose between the two. It sucks. It's wrong. And every year we go through this crap. Every freaking year. It's like, the only great election, the first Bill Clinton election, I was so excited because I wanted to hump his leg. Do you know, I had that thing for him. And I've met him many times, and apparently, he doesn't have it for me. Because if he did, it would have been done already. You know what I mean? Would have been done. But it was never done. Don't worry, Hill. Never. But, I really was so optimistic about a Bill Clinton presidency. And then I didn't have that feeling until Barack Obama. Well, now I don't have that feeling about Hillary Clinton, but I do know I cannot allow Donald Trump to be near the nuclear codes. I do know we can't have Donald Trump in charge of the CIA, the FBI, the DIA, the NSA, the military. As an ex-military person myself, I never saw combat, and I never claimed to have had, this fabulous, career or anything. But I did serve, and to tell you the truth, I can't imagine Donald Trump in charge of the military. He will ask people who are subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the UCMJ, to torture people. He will ask them to do things that are outlawed in conventions and in the Uniform Code. And those people, when they get caught, will go to Leavenworth. And Donald Trump won't give a rat's ass about any of them. I'm telling you, he's a frightening man. Frightening. And if you add in third or fourth party candidates like a Jill Stein, I know people like her, or Gary Johnson, the libertarian, who, he's so high on edibles that I don't even think he knows he's running.
You have not smoked pot in, 8 weeks?
8 weeks.
Well, with the legalization of marijuana products, so edibles, I had edibles about 8 weeks ago.
Okay.
So he won't know if he wins or loses. He just, he won't. It won't. It'll just boo. So, don't feel bad about him. He just and Bill Weld, by the way, I will say, Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, best friends with Hillary, best friends. They're doing it to peel off votes from Trump. Except it doesn't work that way. Everybody's smarting the hell up. It looks like if you had a 4-way ballot, Trump leads by 5 points. This is terrible. 5 points. And I'm seeing some reportage that 1 million people who were for Bernie will not vote for Hillary. 1 million. Now, in a close election, that's a huge number. And people were telling me, I'm a Ralph Nader. I am. That's freaking rich. I'm the Ralph Nader in this scenario. No, you're the Ralph Nader. All right, Jules, where are you? In Fort Wayne, Indiana. Hi.
Yes, I sure am in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
How white is it there?
How are you doing today, honey?
Good. I'm good. How white is it?
How white is it? Oh, is it very white?
It's very.
As a matter of fact, we've got the white hoods around here. Well, not quite up this far north, but we've got the white hoods,
So it's Lily. Yeah. Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure my facts are good. Yeah.
Yeah. You got the good facts.
Yay.
So, the only reason the main reason I was calling is because, what you're saying is very true. We've got a lot of issues. I think the biggest issue we're going to have in the next few weeks is stopping the infighting amongst the people that are supposed to be supporting Bernie.
Yeah, that's why I started with the politics. I mean, there's plenty to talk about today about, what's going on with the police and race and all those things. And, starting a conversation, a meaningful one where people can call me and tell me what their experience with the police is, whether, and then tell me if they're white or black or let us guess or, you know what I mean? But I started with the politics because I saw this poll today and it's freaking me out saying 1 million people won't vote for Trump because they're Bernie supporters and they hate Hillary. Okay, I understand where you're coming from. I don't understand how you're demonstrating your feelings. But and then I look and I see, oh my God, he's beating her in swing states, in key swing states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Florida. He could win, and this cannot happen.
Exactly. You know what's going to happen and the way he's going to win is by the way people are fighting amongst each other right now. I mean, even in the chat. I see this on my show in the morning. People fighting in their chat, people fighting against each other, people that are supposed to be supporting Bernie, that were supporting Bernie, that trusted his judgment.
I supported Bernie,
and then they are saying, "Well, no, I am for this side, I am for that side." Instead of saying, "You know what? I'm still supporting him, and I'm going to fight for this all the way."
Listen, I was for Bernie. Everybody knows that. I mean, I felt the burn. Turned out to be, some sort of an infection down there, but, whatever. It's, but I love him. I don't disrespect him for getting less votes than Hillary did. I think.
No, I don't either.
I mean, I think he's had a huge impact on her. I think he's had an enormous impact on the conversation and on the campaign and on the platform. And I think he will continue to have a huge part to play, a huge role to play. So will the Elizabeth Warrens. So will I just blanked out on his name. I want to say Wellstone, but God rest him in peace. Right. I mean, honestly, the whole conversation that Hillary is having with the United States has moved to the left, and you can thank Bernie and the Bernie supporters for that. Now, if the Bernie supporters are pissed off at the result, I get it. I'm disappointed too, extremely so. I would have wanted to vote for Bernie for president of the United States more than you could possibly know. However, Trump cannot win. So I don't care if you have to talk yourself into, I'm doing this to vote against Trump. You better freaking do it.
Yeah, you know, what I have said is, you know, I'm not telling anyone how to vote. I'm not saying you have to vote this way or that. You vote your heart, but I'll tell you what.
No, at this point,
you really have to evaluate the situation.
You know what?
And you have to think, who do you want in the White House? Do you want someone that is going to?
And that's not you vote your conscience. You know what that is? That's
you have to look at who you want in the White House. You want someone that's going to follow the Democratic platform. You want someone that's going to follow that Republican platform.
Well, you know, you just vote for your country is what you do. You vote for the preservation of the nation, and the nation cannot continue. You know, Donald Trump is very busy being out there saying that if he loses, America will cease to be. He's actually saying crap like that. That if I don't win, you won't even have a country. What does that mean? The hell does that mean? Who the hell does he think he is? You want to talk about privilege and arrogance and preferential treatment and being a poodle and acting out of convenience? He's your guy. He's your guy. This guy is literally saying that the union will not be able to exist without him. Who the hell is he, and what does he mean by that? I have no earthly idea. How are we living without a Donald Trump all this time? How are we managing? It's so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Brett in Glendale Heights, Illinois.
Hello, Randy.
Wow,
I'm a long-time listener from Arizona. I moved back to Illinois because I met my wife, and I met my wife through KXXT radio station. I used to work out there with the Air America radio affiliate in Phoenix. So you're responsible for me meeting my wife and, as in a certain way, 3 lovely children that I now take care of and raise.
Okay.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, I set out the last
but weren't the call letters out there at KPHX?
They were K1010 KXXT, and then it was 1480 KPHX.
And who couldn't remember that? It just trips off the tongue, right? I mean, who couldn't remember?
Yeah, exactly. KPHX makes more sense since it was the...
if it was Phoenix. Yes, PHX,
exactly.
Phoenix. You could remember that, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
I set out the last election because I was ticked off at the way Pat Quinn had governed the state of Illinois and some of the things that he had struggled to do and a little bit of the corruption involved there. And because I sat out, now I'm stuck with, guess who? Bruce Rauner. Bruce Rauner is like that's the equivalent to what Mitt Romney would be if Mitt Romney were president now. So despite having a Democratic super super majority, Rauner doesn't have to pass a budget, and as a result, they're having to go through this state, lay off teachers at the university level. Where my wife went to school, Eastern Illinois. We went through that town the other day, and it's a lovely town, college town, Charleston, Illinois, where Eastern Illinois is, and they've had to lay off over 300 teachers because Rauner refuses to pass a budget. So all the things that he would gut, education, mental health for the poor, child health care, all those things that are the social fabric of the state of Illinois, he doesn't have to cut them even though he wants to cut them. He just simply doesn't have to sign a budget. And now I sit here and I look at myself and I say to myself, this is the consequences of my own inaction of not voting. And now if I do the same thing by taking my ball home and going, I don't like Hillary.
Right.
I'd rather have had Bernie. Now I'd be stuck with
It takes a very big
Trump.
person, very, very big, very huge man to say what you just said. And I applaud you. Because you're right. You're right. You know, it's not personal, okay? It's not personal. This is business. This is the business of democracy. This is what we have. We have two damn people. Now, if we were in the Soviet Union, we'd have one. But we're America. We have two. I know it sucks, but it is what it is. This is not the world the way I want it. This is not the world the way you want it. It is what it is. And that's what we have. And it sucks and it's wrong. And we should have many more choices, because I cannot believe in a country as big and as strong and as smart as this country, that we can't find somebody who is, among our, our medical class, or somebody who really does run, a big business, but treats their employees like they're gold and lets them buy in. And, you could find somebody. But the system is so completely corrupt that it can't happen yet. It just can't. So this is what we got. But the idea that people are telling Bernie, you're dead to me now, go F yourself, I hate you, send me back. That is just disgusting. He did not run this hard and this long to just not get anything for us out of it. And why you can't appreciate that effort in and of itself, I don't know. But I find it completely like you're a taker. I think it's so selfish and wrong. And, you have to vote for something bigger than yourself and your own selfish self. You selfish self. Slither in Coconut Creek.
Hi, Randy. I love you. We're so glad you're back on the air.
Slither? Your name is Slither?
No, it's Linda.
Oh, Linda. Oh, my God. It came up Slither.
Well, you've been with us since when I worked at United Parcel Service, the couple of strikes that we had.
Oh, right.
And you were out there supporting us.
Yeah,
I wanted to share.
I love a man and a woman in a brown. I love.
We loved you too.
Yeah.
But the woman that just stated that, vote your heart. No, you don't vote your heart, because you got to vote smart, because they're gerrymandering. They're going to steal votes.
Right.
They're already suppressing that vote.
Right.
And, what she doesn't understand is people like me who busted their ass in a brown UPS truck have gotten their pension stolen. My pension went into bankruptcy with the Central States Pension. And there was a vote and a bill that Bernie wrote. He's trying to get it to the floor. And our good old GOP friends, Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, won't hear the bill, which means my pension goes bankrupt.
Right. Right.
And this is what GOP does. They don't care about you. Put your feelings aside, everybody. I was a Bernie supporter.
Me too.
Sucking it up. I'm going to vote for Hillary because I want my pension. And they're starting with the small pensions, like you said years ago. They're going to go after the private pensions, which mine is.
Yeah.
And they're going to go after the county pensions, the state pensions.
Of
and then
course.
the federal pensions.
Of course. Look, these Republican right-wing trickle-down guys, remember what they did in Chile? We're going to look like Chile. Remember the Milton Friedman experiment? Yep. Right, in Chile, where they did exactly that. They stole everybody's pension. They robbed everybody blind. The country is like a fourth world now. It was starting to make... this is what they'll do here. They'll bring that same freaking supply-side economics full force back into the United States so that the top 1/10 of 1% will own everything, because those people at the top, they walk around knocking things off the desk with their wallets, right? Real men do it with their genitalia, but they do it with their wallets, and their wallets are never big enough. They're never fat enough. They're always in competition with each other. It's like, oh well, he's got $4 billion. Well, I got $6 billion. Well, I'm going to get 10. This is their world. They have no earthly idea what it's like to be here.
And you know what? We can't hand it to them. We can't let this creepy, fascist, narcissist creep run our country. We're going to lose it all.
We will lose it all.
Get it?
We've been losing it. Thank you very much, Linda from UPS. We've been losing it incrementally for a very, very long time over every Republican presidency. And then every Democrat has to come in and they spend their entire presidency cleaning up behind the Republicans. Except this time the Republicans wouldn't even help, wouldn't even hand us the broom. Wouldn't even hand us a freaking broom. That is the situation that we find ourselves in. And this time... We have a running start. Because we've cleaned up after the Bush administration, there's still a mess to be dealt with. There's the whole Iraq thing. There's the whole Syria thing. There's the whole ISIS thing. There's a whole economic thing. There's a whole tuition thing. There's a whole healthcare public option thing. There's a ton to do. But if we go backwards, we'll never move forward from this point. We'll just go back from here. You'll waste another 8 years. I'm too old for this. I can't do it anymore. So cut the crap. I understand. I do. I loved him too. I still love him. I respect him. I think what he did was awesome. Incredible. Above and beyond. Thank God for Bernie.
So you go back and you look at American history. I mean, our lifetime, American history, right? Recent past. The last 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And to some extent, you have to go back a little more than 10 or 20 years because Reaganomics has just so firmly changed the nature of America over the last 20 years that a lot of young people don't have any idea what America was like back in the 60s, at least for white people. But that world, that beaver cleaver world that had a high level of safety and a low level of crime where, you know, cute little white kids could go out on their bicycles and be safe and go out and spend, you know, Louise and I, when we were growing up, both of us in different cities in different parts of Lansing, but, you know, largely white communities. We would leave in the morning during the summer and come home at night, and our parents never worried about us, didn't know where we were, right? We didn't have cell phones back then. Society was relatively functional. Now, why is that? Well, for the white middle class at that time, and I would argue probably for the black middle class, although I don't have the personal experience of having been part of that, so I can't speak for that. But for the white middle class at that time, there was a sense of safety. You had a job, you had a pension, you had Social Security waiting for you. You had white privilege, I guess, is a piece of it. But it goes way beyond that. It's really we had a society that was functional. And then along came, you know, the Ayn Rand libertarian Republicans saying, "Oh, well, wait a minute, you know, we can't be doing this. The labor unions, they got too much." See, you had a union backing you up. You had a community in the workplace. You had, neighborhoods that worked. And now as that is being ripped apart, you're seeing, in the white community, it's the whole Breaking Bad thing. In the African-American community, it's add over-policing to that, and what a mess you've got. But where I'm going with this whole thing, and I started with addiction. And in fact, it's like the way that we deal with addiction is so wrong. And I would argue that the way we're dealing with the people in our society who have fallen through the cracks or who are not working out well, so, however you want to say that, are pretty identical. This new book, Chasing the Scream by Johann Hari. He writes, ironically, the war on drugs actually increases all those larger drivers of addiction. Now, again, think of addiction as a metaphor for all kinds of dysfunctional behaviors. He says, for example, I went to a prison in Arizona, the 10th city, where inmates were detained in tiny stone isolation cages. They called it the hole, for weeks and weeks on end to punish them for using drugs. It is as close to a human recreation of the cages, the guaranteed deadly addiction in rats, as I can imagine. And when those prisoners get out, they will be unemployable because of their criminal record, guaranteeing that they will be cut off even more. He says, there is an alternative. You can build a system that is designed to help drug addicts to reconnect with the world. And I want to take this, and I absolutely agree with all of this. And I, looking back on my teenage years, I used a fair number of drugs. I've said that before. I'll tell you candidly. I don't think that it was ever horribly problematic for me. I knew a number of people who were using heroin. I had one friend who died from a heroin overdose. But I also know that a lot of those people just walked away from it. I mean, friends of mine who just they got a job and they got married and they just quit using drugs. It's like the drug use was either an experiment or it was a symptom of a disconnect that might have been associated with going off to school or whatever. But so the bottom line, the main point that I wanted to make is that the Democratic Socialist agenda is not only an anti-addiction agenda, it's also an anti-violence agenda. It's an anti-crime agenda. If people know that no matter what happens, no matter how badly the banksters behave, that when capitalism fails, the government will catch them. If they know that no matter where they live, they will have good schools for their kids. If people know that no matter, what job they have, they will earn enough money that they don't have to live in poverty, that they don't have to worry where their next meal is coming from. If people know that if they get sick, they have an absolute right to health care. If people know all those things, they're less inclined to engage in antisocial behavior, including, the use of drugs, turning recreational drugs into addictive drugs. But they're less likely to engage in antisocial behavior.
Clear for takeoff. The Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Alton Sterling and Philando Castile are just the latest, a long and painful litany of African Americans dying after encounters with police officers. We remember Laquan McDonald, killed in Chicago a year and a half ago, and Sandra Bland, who grew up in Illinois, who died 1 year ago today. Time after time, no one is held accountable. And surely we can all agree that's deeply wrong and needs to change. And yes, we do need to listen to those who say Black Lives Matter. Too many Black Americans, especially young men, feel like their lives are disposable and they worry every single day about what might happen. They have every reason to feel that way, and it's absolutely unacceptable. Everyone in America, everyone deserves to be treated with respect and dignity. Surely that is something we can all unite behind. We need to acknowledge the 5 Latinos who also lost their lives in police incidents last week. Their stories didn't get national media coverage, but their families and communities are mourning too. And at the same time, we need to listen to the dedicated, principled police officers working hard every day to rebuild trust with the communities they serve and protect.
Now, I would rather hear that, whether you think it's trustworthy, honest, sincere or not. I would rather hear that from the bully pulpit of the presidency of the United States. I would rather have that going out into the world. I would rather have that going into school children's ears. I would rather have that going into the ears of communities across America than I would have.
That is an unheard of number. The Democrats, ooh, there was a mosquito. I don't want mosquitoes around me.
Oh, God.
I don't like mosquitoes. I don't like those mosquitoes. I never did. Okay, speaking of mosquitoes, hello, Hillary, how are you doing?
I would rather have somebody at the bully pulpit, even if they are only half as interested as I pray they are in what's going on in our communities, in our, children's lives, in our bank accounts, in our upside down house situation, in our can't pay for my brilliant kid to go to college situation. I would rather have that at the bully pulpit saying those things that at least inspire, that at least portend to have some hint of progress in the words, then I would rather than Donald Trump saying anything about anything. I don't even want to hear him talk. He wants to, even a mosquito episode is like he's deranged. He's a lunatic. So I gotta hope that in the next what is this? July, August, September, October. 4 months we got 4 months. This is the shortest election cycle I've ever been involved in, and I find that extremely liberating. Because this started 2 years ago. When I left May 16th, 2014, okay? And Hillary was obviously running for president back then. So this election has been going on for a full 2 years already. I came in last 4 months. I think I should do that every election. Because they go on for too long. They cost too much money. How in the hell are we it's insane. It's insane what we do to ourselves. It's crazy. Man, I'm really liking this Facebook thing. It's not my personal Facebook. It's the Randi Rhodes Show Facebook. We can stream to it now. So we're streaming to the Facebook page. We're also on Progressive Voices on the app on the phone. We're on live on TuneIn. We're on live on YouTube's. There's so many Randi Rhodes things on the YouTube. We tried to make our own URL, so it's Randi Rhodes Show to kind of separate it from just Randi Rhodes. Just always put show now, and you'll get where you need to go. But I am working really hard to get this show to you, however you'd like to have it. But I just glanced over at the Facebook. Just glanced. See how I'm glancing? And right there. Let's see if I could do this. Yeah, see, right there. Wait, I'm not used to the camera yet. Right there. No, I'm not going to forget. I'm working on it. See that right there? Right there? 255,975 people. 255,975 people. So could you just like the page, damn it? Just like it. Just click on the like thing, and then you'll see I put my little Twitter handle, Randi Radio. Why? Because some creep took my name. I ain't paying for it. So it's Randi Radio. So I put my little Twitter handle there, at Randi Radio. Go, follow me there too, because that is what matters. Believe it or not, in the freaking internet world. Okay? That number right there. No, it's the wrong side. There. That number there matters. The likes matter. And who's following me on the, who's tweeting me. It's so stupid. I feel like such an idiot even saying it. But anyway, wouldn't you rather have somebody at the bully pulpit saying things that, maybe they only mean, 3/4 of them? Or Donald Trump. Really, I mean, this is where we are. This is the choice. And we have got a real opportunity now in this country to actually move forward and fix a lot of the systemic problems that we have. The school to prison pipeline. I mean, we've been doing shows about these damn issues for, let's see, Bush became president in 2000, 16 years. For 16 years, we have been talking about solving these problems. Now, we came kind of close to solving the healthcare problem. I can tell you that Obamacare is excruciatingly expensive. As you know, I didn't work for the last 2 years, right? And just so you know, I'm not paying myself to do this either. I pay everybody else, though. And there will come a time when I have to, and I need to make a whopping $18,000 this year. I have to, so that I could get the subsidy for Obamacare. Yeah, it blows. It sucks, but it needs fixing, not dismantling, because God knows if I had been ill prior to Obamacare and lost my job, which is what happened. I lost my job and subsequently fell ill. My hospital bills would have been like, I don't know, 800,000, 600,000. You take a stab at it. You guess. You guess what those bills are going to would look like. So thank God it was there. Thank God it was available. Yes, it hurt to pay for it. I had to pay for it because I actually needed it, but thank God I could. And now that I have a pre-existing condition, thank God I'm still insurable. Because I'm in that nether region. I'm not old enough for Medicare. I'm just not old enough. I got a long ways to go before I qualify for the Medicare. And if they raise the age, it'll be an even longer way to go before I get the Medicare, okay? So, listen, things are not perfect. They need to be fixed, but do you really want to turn the clock back on everything, including the disparities in the justice system, the crazy biases that we have built into our institutions can actually move forward? I'm not saying it's a magic wand. I'm not saying everything's going to get fixed if you vote for this one or that one. But what I am saying is there is a way to vote to move incrementally forward, and there is a way to vote where we will go backwards. Backwards. I don't want to go back there. Damn it. I've been waiting for the 21st century to start since, 2000? And it never did. It just never began. It started to look like an inkling would happen. We did elect our first African-American president. That felt 21st century to me. That felt like progress. Just right there, that alone. It lifted. It inspired. It moved a country. Did it solve the problem? Obviously not. We watched 3 freaking executions on the TV. All of them race-related. All of them. There is no denying that all those killings happened because two people in a car, one guy on a street selling CDs, which apparently can get you killed in this country. Another guy just sitting in his car, driving with his girlfriend to a family dinner. That's where Philando and his girlfriend were going. They were going home to have dinner with their family. It was family dinner day. And, didn't make it. Dead. And then you have some black guy, equally as racist, who decides he's going to pick off white cops. We have a race problem in this country. And it's because of people like Donald Trump, who looked at the first African-American president, looked at the progress and said, I don't like it. I'm going to say he's a Muslim. I'm going to say he's not American. I'm going to challenge his birth certificate. I mean, you had these crazy people out there. Yes, you had the Orly Tates of the world, and you had these right-wing lunatics. But Donald Trump was one of them. He was one of them, and he was the one with the money. So what did he say he was spending? And he lied about this, too. I mean, Donald Trump is the biggest liar I have ever come across, even in politics, where, I have made my bed. But he said he was going to send investigators to Hawaii. He was going to find... He didn't do any of those things. Just like he never gave money to the Wounded Warriors until somebody looked into it and found he gave nothing. He gave bupkis, squat, zero, zilch, goose egg, donut, nada. Zippo. He's a liar and a cheat. And I'm sorry, but these are our choices. And quite frankly, we are on the cusp of doing some good in this country. I really think that the will to move forward, that the will to fix the institutions that are inherently biased, that the will to treat people equally under law is there now. People are sick of it. Even people who would never, ever, ever, you would think, I would think, would say that. They're saying that now. They're going, you know what? It hurt me to watch that. That was really disgraceful. And, they'll ask me because they know that I'll have a decent answer. What causes this? And I tell them, it's built into the cake. It's baked into the cake. It's institutional racism. We have demolished entire family structures by over-incarcerating all the men. All the men. Well, is that why there's so many single black mothers? Duh. 19 after.
This is the news. This morning, we are saluting the 2.2 million women who have joined in the war effort. They now make up 37% of the workforce, changing their role forever.
The prestigious Harvard Medical School is breaking ground today, opening its doors to new female applicants.
Today, little girls all over the world look to the sky, where the first woman is now in space.
Military stereotypes are challenged today with the trailblazing promotion of a U.S. female officer to 4-star general. It was just announced that the vast majority of last year's doctorate degrees were earned by women.
We've come so far, but our news is changing for the worse. More women die from heart disease and stroke than men, even though it can be prevented. Make a change at goredforwomen.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women.
Hi, we're back, and everything is possible again. Isn't it beautiful? Well, if you want to keep it this way, buy a stinking podcast. Oh yes, you have to buy a stinking podcast. And you get that at RandiRhodes.com, where we're open all day, all night long. RandiRhodes.com. Get your stinking podcast.
Hi, I'm Gianna Garrell from Progressive Voices. Today, the angry roar of the conservative media machine dominates TV and radio, threatening to drown out and push out anyone who dares to discuss our progressive perspectives and ideals. But we can't let that happen. We have too many strong, smart, and important progressive voices who need to be heard. That's why here at PV, we're building a 21st century progressive media universe. One where all the best in progressive media can come together, rise above the static and the noise, and be heard by anyone, anywhere. And we need your help. We're in the middle of a critical campaign to make our dream of 21st century progressive media universe a reality. But we can't do it without grassroots support from people like you. Head over to progressivevoices.com to see how you can help. Please support this important progressive mission, because with your help, we can make sure all our progressive voices are heard.
But it's not only the networks. The Washington Post, March 6th to 7th, they have 16 articles in a 24-hour period against Bernie Sanders. And the recent New York Times story, the New York Times, a positive story recently about Bernie Sanders, record.
Candidates should get tough coverage. The coverage.
No. There was a positive story.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
Well, this is very strange. I put all this stuff in here. Now I can't find it. Oh, well, I had this really, really, really good stuff in here, and I don't know where it went. I'm just very lost right now. Well, I watched the shows. There. Oh, that was smooth. There was a book that was written by a woman named Michelle Alexander called The New Jim Crow. And what was that book about, and why was it called The New Jim Crow? Well, Jim Crow were laws that made sure that African Americans couldn't vote. It was, keeping them out of the ballot box. It was keeping them from owning property. It was, it was a whole set of laws that said public accommodations. You can't go here if the person who owns the store doesn't want to serve you. I mean, we have some of that going on in our society now, but not anything near where it was. But with regard to the ballot box, these the over-incarceration of African American males has disenfranchised an enormous. I mean, it's done more to keep African American males from the ballot box than Jim Crow laws did, and that was the subject of Michelle Alexander's book. And what's really, really interesting is that the result of over-incarcerating and over-policing neighborhoods of color after the factories closed just destroyed black families. And still you'll hear ignorant people on the TV sit there and tell you things like, well, why do you think there's so many single black mothers? I mean, where are the men? Where are the men? And the answer is, they're either in prison or they're unemployable because they have felony records. They can't support a family. And African American women are more likely to be highly educated because they know they're kind of going to have to do it by themselves. And so, and also you have the pool of men, of educated black men, that is so small now that you've got this population of women who are competing for this small pool of educated black men who have managed not to get arrested for marijuana, not get arrested for selling a CD to put themselves through school, right? They have managed to somehow, get lucky and not end up in prison. And so the pool is so small that women are competing for these guys in droves. And therefore, a lot of women are saying, I just rather do it on my own. I just rather focus on my kid. This guy's got 4 girlfriends. I mean, he's playing the field. He's not ready to settle down. I, on the other hand, am ready to have a family, so I'm going to have one. And, it doesn't work out very well. 70% of black babies are born out of wedlock, not because there's something inherently wrong with black women. It's because there's such a small pool of men. And women being women, we have maternal instincts. And we want to give birth to somebody who will love us unconditionally. And it's all because between 1970 and 2007, black men were incarcerated. They were locked. And when they came out, they couldn't fully participate in the American experience because they had a record. They can't vote. I know, my neighbor, I shouldn't say this. Long time ago, something happened. She can't vote. Long time ago. That's the gift that keeps on giving. You can't get rid of that. You just can't. But people don't want to take a breather and understand that institutionally, we have done things that the Jim Crow era could not accomplish. We have actually managed to achieve keeping black men from the ballot box. We have actually achieved it better than we did during the Jim Crow era. That's what that book was all about. Michelle, I pulled a whole bunch of Michelle Alexander audio, but I loaded it into this little program here that you see. See how it's like all the color things? Those are all the sound bites, and they're not there. Everything that was there yesterday is there, and the things I put in today are now gone. It's very weird. But, and I really did have some great stuff for you to listen to. But honest to God, that is what that is about. And there is no denying that ever since the Industrial Revolution ended in America, men have been underemployed. And you know what's a really interesting statistic? This one's fascinating. You can look it up. I may have put it in the homework section at randyrhodes.com. I may have. But when you look at white men who are underemployed or unemployed and black men who are underemployed or unemployed, the exact same level of violence is found. The exact same level of violence. So, don't you think that the decimation of black communities by closing down listen, the factories moved to the urban areas to have easy access to cheap black labor. That's just a fact. And then when those factories closed and moved away, either through going overseas, going across the border, robots, automation, whatever reason they closed, because we're not here to debate that, they just closed, and they left entire swaths of cities with unemployed men. Generationally now, unemployed men can't find a job. And when you look at the Rust Belt, where you tend to find more white unemployed men, and you look at, cities like Detroit, where you tend to find more black unemployed men, the same level of violence. You see the same exact thing, and men are trapped. I mean, our whole system has screwed our people. Everything that every decision that has been made, under a Republican regime has completely destroyed the fabric of American society, the promise of a job, a shot at a job anyway, and a shot at the American dream. Now they've even gotten smart, they've gotten so smart and so hip to this problem that they've decided, hey, what if we loaded up the kids with debt and didn't even give them a start? What if we did that? What if we underfunded the public education, the public colleges, and made the parents who are struggling pay for the kids' tuition, which they won't be able to do, especially if we take the value of their home away by crashing the entire economy with these derivatives and these mortgage-backed securities and all of these swaps and things nobody can understand. But we take all the good mortgages and we put them in with all the bad mortgages. We chop it all up. We sell little pieces to everybody. And then we say, we're going belly up because everything is worthless now. And your house is now upside down, meaning you owe more than it's worth. Your kid's ready to go to college. You can't help your kid out anymore. So your kid says, don't worry, Mom. I'll get a loan, but I'm going. I'm bettering myself. I want to get out of here. There's nothing for me here. If I stay, I had this conversation with Jessica. I told her, if you stay here, nothing will ever happen for you. You have to go. And it killed me. It killed me to tell my child she had to go, but she had to go. And so she moved to New York and she lived with like 9 other girls. But she started her career and now she lives in LA and she's on her own. But honestly, it kills you to have to say that to your kids. So they thought of that. And they said, well, what if we load the kids up with debt and then they can't even get a good start? Because the day they graduate college, there won't be a job, but they'll be in hock up to their eyeballs. To who? To the government. To the U.S. freaking government. They will owe. And then, if we decide to get out of that bit, we'll just sell it to our friends at the bank. And they'll collect this ridiculous amount of interest off of these kids that we've just made debtor slaves. Listen, they think of everything. They're very slick, very smart, and very destructive. Their policies don't work. Some of them, are probably somewhat decent people. Like, I look at a Kasich, and I think everything he says he would do, I would not do. Every prescription that he would write, I think would probably kill my liver. Do you know what I mean? I think every prescription that he would write would probably, cause lymphoma or some sort of brain cancer, like, all these prescriptions tend to do. There'd be side effects, let's put it that way, from any prescription that a Kasich would write. However, he seems like a decent guy, seems like a good family man, seems like he means well. He's just, hasn't figured it out yet, that everything that he would do has been done and it doesn't work. And people lose their shirts, lose their families, lose their kids, and then lose their will to live. That's why suicides are high. That's why drug addiction isn't that, and the doctors have, gotten you addicted to the drugs. And there is you want to go get help to get off the damn drugs, but that costs like, $50,000 too. It's worth it, but again, you'll be in debt. It's just so incredible, this system that they have built that is so geared towards hobbling us. It's like Kathy Bates in Misery, where she just hobbles Paul. And, he can't get away anymore because his feet are broken. His ankles are like twisted and mangled. This is what they're doing to your life. This is what they're building it into the system so that everything is rigged against you. Then you're going to need not just smarts, but you're going to need luck. And you're going to need help, and you're going to need a whole community to rally around you. And it ain't going to be just LinkedIn, okay? That's not going to do it for you. We need a better way. We need a system that prioritizes freedom from being killed in your car. We need a system that prioritizes freedom from debt. We need a system that prioritizes education and healthcare and all the things that tend to bankrupt families. We need a system that says, okay, if you've done your time, you are now a full functioning part of society. Unless you're, some sexual offender who tend to have a very high recidivism rate. Then I think that once you've done your time for a non-violent crime, you should have your record sealed. Go about your business. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the people who go to jail for the stupid things like the marijuana, that has got to stop. That is just a ridiculous reason to put somebody in jail. And you know, I'm not a fan of the pot. I don't like it. It makes me hungry and tired. And quite frankly, right now, I'm hungry and tired. I don't need to take a drug to make me feel hungry and tired. I already am. Some people get a lift. I don't get a lift. So I'm telling you, there's an opportunity here to at least get, I mean, let's say Hillary Clinton is only going to do 25% of what she says. And let's suppose that Donald Trump is only going to do 25% of what he says. The 25% Donald Trump will do is to jeopardize the uniformed military by forcing them to break the uniform code, to break the Geneva Conventions, and to start torturing people again, which is what made ISIS in the first place. He's going to bankrupt this country, there's no doubt in my mind, because that's all Donald Trump knows how to do. He is the king of debt. Okay, Donald Trump builds nothing. Donald Trump takes. Donald Trump doesn't earn, he takes. Donald Trump would default the United States. And you know what happens if we default? You'll need a wheelbarrow full of dollar bills to go buy a loaf of bread. A wheelbarrow. That's the Weimar Republic. This is why everybody is saying Donald Trump is a fascist. He wants to be the strong man. And that means that if he had to get into a negotiation with Congress over the debt, he would default on it. Because that's what Donald Trump knows how to do. This is not the right guy at the right time. This is the wrong guy for any time. But we have a chance to move forward. We have a chance to fix the healthcare problem. We have a chance to fix the tuition problem. We have a chance to fix global warming, or at least cap carbon. Trade it. We have a chance to have renewables. We have a chance at a future here. A chance to build on. Or we can go backwards and start more wars and start beheading people ourselves and become the thing we despise the most. I'm really frightened for the United States right now when I look at these poll numbers and I see swing states, important ones like Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida going for the Trump. It scares me. It frightens me. And I know that there's difficulty out there wrapping your brain around the Hillary, but you know what? You're not voting for her. You're voting for the principles of the platform. You're voting for your country. 37 after.
It's Wednesday, July 13th, 2016. I'm Nicole Sandler from The Nicole Sandler Show with What's News on the Progressive Voices Network.
Keep me in your heart for a while.
President Obama spoke at a memorial service in Dallas yesterday, urging Americans rattled by a week of violence and protests to find open hearts and new empathy in a speech that seesawed between honoring police officers for their bravery and decrying racial prejudice that can affect their work. He spoke near 5 empty chairs for the police officers killed last week by a crazy man with a weapon of war.
If we're to sustain the unity we need to get through these difficult times, I'm here to insist that we are not as divided as we seem. And I know that because I know America. I know how far we've come against impossible odds. When all this takes place, more than 50 years after the passage of the Civil Rights Act, we cannot simply turn away and dismiss those in peaceful protest as troublemakers. An act not just of demented violence, but of racial hatred. All of it's left us wounded and angry and hurt.
Come on, people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together, try to love one another right now.
Senator Bernie Sanders threw his support behind the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton at a rally in Portsmouth, New Hampshire yesterday.
Secretary Clinton has won the Democratic nominating process, and I congratulate her for that. She will be the Democratic nominee for president, and I intend to do everything I can to make certain she will be the next president of the United States.
He stressed the importance of keeping Donald Trump and the Republicans out of the White House.
While Donald Trump is busy insulting Mexicans and Muslims and women and African Americans and our veterans, Hillary Clinton understands that our diversity is one of our greatest strengths. Yes, we become stronger when black and white, Latino, Asian American, Native American, all of us stand together. Yes, we become stronger when men and women, young and old, gay and straight, native-born and immigrant, fight to rid this country of all forms of bigotry.
After speaking for close to 30 minutes, Bernie introduced Hillary, ending his address on a note of solidarity.
Hillary Clinton will make an outstanding president, and I am proud to stand with her today. Thank you all.
Borrowing from Sanders' campaign slogan, Hillary Clinton took the podium declaring, quote, "We are joining forces to defeat Donald Trump and build a future we can all believe in." Though Clinton and Sanders stressed Democratic unity during the packed rally, much remains unknown about how and whether this political marriage will actually work. You see, not everyone in the crowd or online was happy with the calls for party unity.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
Supporters clashed and a police officer intervened to mediate a dispute in the high school bleachers. One Sanders supporter commented online, "They got to him. They probably threatened him and his family." Hashtag DNC. That guy that was just shot in D.C. was probably an example to him. A fart-in planned by some Sanders supporters for the convention will likely go forward. Protest organizer Sherry Hunkala, who was most notably Jill Stein's Green Party vice presidential running mate in 2012, she's been stocking up on beans, and she said the number of people sending beans, quote, will probably quadruple. The plan is for delegates to munch on the beans and then let Clinton smell what they think of her. Now this.
For the glorious, notorious RBG, as feisty and outspoken as she can be, the glorious, notorious RBG, a.k.a. Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has doubled down on her criticism of Donald Trump, calling him, quote, a faker. How has he gotten away with not turning over his tax returns, Ginsburg asked. The press seems to be very gentle with him on that. Every other presidential candidate has turned over tax returns. In a Sunday New York Times interview, Ginsburg said, quote, "I can't imagine what this place would be. I can't imagine what the country would be with Donald Trump as our president. For the country, it could be 4 years. For the court, it could be, I don't even want to contemplate that." Ginsburg joked ruefully about moving to New Zealand. Trump tweeted late Tuesday, "Justice Ginsburg of the U.S. Supreme Court has embarrassed us all by making very dumb political statements about me. Her mind is shot. Resign."
I got good news.
And that's news for this Wednesday, July 13th, 2016. I'm Nicole Sandler. Hear my show weekday afternoons 2 to 4 Eastern at NicoleSandler.com. Tuesday through Friday, our second hour is carried on the Progressive Voices Network. And then stay tuned for Randi Rhodes, weekday afternoons 4 to 6 Eastern, here on the Progressive Voices Network.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
Okay, I figured out what happened. You don't care. I got my sound bites back, and I really want you to hear them because Michelle Alexander, Barack Obama, even Hillary Clinton today, there was a surgeon who tended to these Dallas police officers named Dr. Brian Williams, who was on TV. He's an African-American surgeon, and he's a trauma doctor, and he's conflicted. So many people are trying to tell you something, and like I said, Donald Trump doesn't give a rat's ass what that is. I can promise you that Hillary Clinton is listening, and I can promise you that Bernie Sanders always knew it. But this is what Michelle Alexander told an audience in Chicago, where they're always talking about black-on-black crime. But this is what Michelle Alexander told an audience in Chicago not too long ago, and she says it much better than anybody I've ever come across.
Men who are jobless, particularly chronically jobless, are more likely to be violent. Now, joblessness does not excuse violence by any means. Most people who are jobless do not resort to violence. But what we know, and what is no secret, is that communities that are plagued by exceedingly high levels of joblessness are likely to be violent. But a shift occurred here in Chicago and in communities across America, urban communities, beginning in the late 50s, early 60s, into the 1970s, where work disappeared. It used to be that factories would be located in urban areas near segregated black communities so those factories could have quick and easy access to cheap black labor. In fact, as late as 1970, more than 70% of all African Americans working in the Chicago area held blue-collar jobs, factory jobs. Almost overnight, those jobs vanished. By 1987, the industrial employment of black men had plummeted to 28%. Due to deindustrialization, globalization, technological advancement, factories closing down, jobs moving overseas, hundreds of thousands of people, overwhelmingly black men, found themselves suddenly jobless, trapped in racially segregated, jobless communities. Trapped.
And what we know is when we look at white unemployed men and black unemployed men and their particular environment, we realize that in communities where there is high unemployment period, we see the same levels of lawlessness, the same levels of hopelessness, the same levels of violence.
Economic collapse occurred in urban areas across the country. Now, we could have responded to this crisis, to this literal depression occurring in cities like Chicago and Baltimore and Philadelphia and Detroit and beyond. We could have responded to this crisis, this economic collapse, this literal depression, with an outpouring of care, compassion, and concern. We could have responded with bailout packages, economic stimulus programs. We could have provided job training, particularly to young people coming up in these communities so they could make the rough transition from an industrial economy to a service-based economy. But no, we chose a different road, a road more familiar when it comes to matters of race. We chose the road of division, punitiveness, and despair. We as a society ended the war on poverty and declared the war on drugs.
Thank you, Michelle Alexander. She's amazing. She's brilliant. She's a professor. The new Jim Crow is probably one of the best books I ever read that taught me what was really going on. Because sometimes, if it's not your area, if it's not your experience, if it's not the way you were raised, or if it's not anything anybody in your home ever talked about, you tend not to understand what's going on over there 3 blocks away, or over there in the city next door, or over there in the big city while you live in the hinterlands. You tend not to have the same experience, so you tend not to know. So you read if you're smart, and when you read, you figure it out. You learn because somebody is explaining to you how the institutions of America ganged up on the entire population of working men, especially blue-collar working men, and where those factories actually positioned themselves in the first place and why they positioned themselves there. It was to take advantage of segregated black neighborhoods where people could work cheap and would work cheap. And when they closed, that was it. Men were stuck and trapped. And the violence increased because people, a man without dignity, a man without a way to provide for his family is a very sad and desperate person. A sad man, a desperate man. It's avoidable. That's the thing. That's her message here, is saying that we made this decision that what were we going to do with all these unemployed, black men in Detroit and, in Chicago and in these factory towns? What were we going to do with all these unemployed men? Well, they decided they would lock them up. They would put them in prison. It is a decision that we made.
We as a nation have taken a wrong turn in our stride toward freedom. We've betrayed Dr. King's dream. And perhaps nowhere is it more obvious than right here in the city of Chicago. In this great city, President Barack Obama's hometown, a vast new racial undercast has emerged, though their plight is rarely mentioned on the evening news. Occasionally, we hear about the homicide rate, the violence that has been spinning out of control, not everywhere, but in certain spaces, certain places, certain communities defined largely by race and class. 108 young people were killed in this city last year alone. Hundreds more were killed with scarcely any notice in the media. Just another black man gunned down, another body in the street. When Hadiya Pendleton was killed, though, the national media took notice, at least for a moment. She was a 15-year-old girl in the wrong place at the wrong time, according to the police. The killing of Hadiya Pendleton, an honor student shot dead just days after she performed at President Obama's inauguration, became a symbol of the city's stubbornly high homicide rate and something of a pawn. She became something of a pawn in the national debate over gun control. Now, I am grateful, very grateful, that we are having a national debate about gun control, and for the moment, at least, politicians and the media are paying attention to the deaths of black and brown school children, not just white children killed by deranged mass murderers. But I am deeply disturbed that in this national debate about violence and gun control, there is little honest discussion of why, truly why, some communities are war zones while others are not. For while I support gun control and background checks and all the rest, let me be very clear about that, I think we have got to admit that the reason that some communities are war zones and some are not is not at bottom about the number of guns in those communities. After all, I live in a community where I've come to learn that many of my white neighbors own guns. But my neighborhood is safe.
Right.
At bottom, what makes a community safe is not the number of guns, but the number of good schools, the number of good jobs, the number of educational opportunities, the numbers of opportunities people have for living a decent life. Those are the numbers that matter most when it comes to violence. And in Chicago, as in so many other cities and communities across America, a choice has been made. It is a deliberate choice, and it is a choice that has been made over and over and over again. Rather than good schools, we have been willing to build high-tech prisons.
There you have it.
Rather than create jobs and invest in the communities that need it most, we have embarked on an unprecedented race to incarcerate that has left millions of Americans permanently locked up or locked out. William Julius Wilson has written an excellent book about the changes that have occurred in Chicago and other communities around the country entitled When Work Disappears. And in that book, he cites statistics showing that when you control for joblessness, the racial disparities and violent crime disappear. In other words, if you compare white jobless men with black jobless men, rates of violent crime are roughly the same.
You know, these are the kinds of things that need to be known by you so you can say them to your ignorant friends, to your ignorant neighbors. And I don't mean I don't mean to say they're stupid. They're just ignorant. They don't know these facts. Nobody's ever explained it to them. Nobody has ever told them what happened to black communities, what happened to the factory workers who were working, in the urban areas, and how since the 70s work has been hard to come by. And so then we launched this war on drugs, and so then they got incarcerated, and then once they were out and they were listed as felons, they were locked out of the American dream, locked out of the voting booth, locked out of their own futures, locked out of every part of the American dream that you can think of. And there is a way to go back. There is a way to expunge the records of nonviolent criminals. There is a way to go from a factory community to a service economy. There are decisions that we can make. There are choices we can make that are different from the ones we've made that will improve where we are and where we're going. And those are the facts that people need to know going forward, because these are the conversations that we hope to have so that we can cure what freaking ails us. And that's why I thought it was so newsworthy today when Hillary said, oh, that's not happening? Oh, please happen. No. It died. I don't know. Must have been something I did. I'm sure. No, we lost. The Facebook thing ended too. Oh, it does. So I've exhausted it. Oh my God. You are exhausting, Randy. That's what my mother used to say to me. I love you, honey, but you are exhausting. You really are. You're a handful. I'm exhausted. I'm moving to Florida. And then what do? I just follow her. You're not done with me yet. I'm following you all the way down to the flat of the flat. I'm going to the flatness in the flat peninsula. I'm going to live right near you is what I'm going to do. All right, so let me tell you what's on RandyRhodes.com today. I saw, I do look at all the emails, and so I saw people asking me to please post Bernie's letter that he wrote yesterday. It's a very long letter. I wish I could read it to you. Basically, the letter is telling you that it's true they came up short, but it was never about him. It was never about any candidate. It was always, always about millions of people coming together to stand up against the billionaire class. That the revolution is not over, that it's just begun, that you should stay organized, that he's going to organize successor organizations to carry on the struggle that we have all been part of for the last 15 months, that there is no reason to throw your hands up or to tell him you're dead to me or I hate you or you're a phony, because, obviously he's got a lot of influence. He said there is no doubt that the election of Donald Trump as president would be a devastating blow to all that we are fighting for. His openly bigoted and pro-billionaire campaign could precipitate the same decades-long right-wing shift after Reagan's election infected not just politics, but led to the ascendancy of the corporatist wing of the Democratic Party, the DLC. So Bernie is wholly aware of Hillary's history with the DLC. He's wholly aware of the corporatist wing of the Democratic Party, but he has fought really long and really hard with us to change the Democratic Party's platform, to change our positions, to change our goals, and to move us to the more progressive point of view that we all have. So to give up on him and to start writing slurs at him and, but this letter is worth reading. It's 3 pages long, and you could see the font is like really super, super tiny. It's like really, really little. So it's a long letter. So I suggest that you go to randyrhodes.com, go to the homework section, print out the Bernie letter. If you're like me, you should increase the font. And then take it to the toilet and read the damn thing and know that this thing isn't over until it's Trump. If it's Trump, and Trump, the polls are freaking frightening today. I mean, frightening. So, it's still up to us which way we're going to go. I would suggest we don't go to the right. I'm just saying. But read Bernie's letter because it's heartfelt and it'll sound just like Bernie's voice in your head because he obviously wrote this himself. And get your stuff together, get your crap together over this because you're not voting for a candidate. You're voting for a direction, for a platform, for a cause, for a set of principles, a set of policies, progress. I can't go backwards anymore. I keep saying this to you. I just hope you're there. I hope you're there, and I hope you can get your brain there. I wish you a lot of luck. I know it's hard. I've done it. You can do it. It's just not that difficult. All right, we'll see you tomorrow right here on the Facebooks, on the Twitters, on the live streams, the tune-ins, the Randi Rhodes Show, and the Progressive Voices app. Thank you. Just not that difficult.